Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the up, man.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, Stop doing this. Man. Don't do this.
What if I told you Robert De Niro just got verbally body slammed harder than a WWE rookie by Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David? Yep, Mr. Tough Guy met two podcast titans who brought zero chill. 1 minute he's ranting about politics, the next, he's getting roasted like a dollar store steak on Rogan's grill. And Patrick? He came with receipts, logic, and that signature entrepreneur smirk. So what did they say that left De Niro looking like he forgot his lines? Buckle up, this one's a wild ride.
When he's at a film festival and a documentary was coming out about vaccine by, I think, Del Bigtree, and he's talking about the documentary because he's got an autistic son. I think he's like 22 or 23 years old. That's one area where he's like, we have to look into this. What's going on with this? And he's kept it kind of to, at the time, the kid was 16 years old. But I think there's some moments, and they try to hide it as much as possible. So Robert De Niro suggested
there's a link between vaccines and autism?
You've never seen this interview?
No.
I have to show it to you afterwards, okay? So he's talking about it, and the host is trying to shut him up. He's, you guys got to see this documentary. And he's not one that uses his kids as a, we know where he's at with Trump. We know he's got TDS. Yeah. We know he loses his mind. But when it comes down to vaccine and autism, that is a very personal thing to him.
But can you imagine not being allowed to ask?
Robert De Niro, the man who managed to become both a cinematic icon and the poster child for a classic Hollywood meltdown. Watching him now is like witnessing a masterclass in how to go from taxi driver to wait. Wasn't he in that one movie, ... You'd think a guy who gave us unforgettable performances could at least hold on to a shred of dignity. But nope, De Niro's been losing his grip on reality like a toddler dropping an ice cream cone.
The old people's text messages, the fucking text on their phone is like as big as my hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so your vision of the world is blurring, literally and figuratively, and then you're getting old, and when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them, and they don't have time to have a calm conversation, and you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion, let's see where we have common ground. Hey, get off my lawn! And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's being this old grumpy man that is so lost that he thinks it's a good idea to stand in front of a bunch of people on the street and give a speech on camera about how...
Let's be honest, De Niro has become a living meme, a walking, shouting caricature of Hollywood's loudest frustrations. The star, who peaked decades ago, now spends his time launching red-faced political rants like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. Except the dinner table is the global stage, and the politics. Whatever hot take he can muster between awkward interviews and rage-fueled anti-Trump tirades.
Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a good idea?
And then he starts yelling at regular people. He's like, fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you.
Like, it's crazy that that's the guy from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
You know what also I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony, and you become a phony, and everyone's a phony, and your grasp on reality is very slippery.
Speaking of which, his obsession with Trump. Borderline pathological. You'd expect an Oscar winner to offer something insightful about the world. Instead, De Niro delivers the kind of insults that wouldn't pass muster in a middle school hallway. It's like watching a grown man argue with a Twitter ghost, loud, pointless, and more than a little embarrassing.
Egregious thing, I think, the most unbelievable to me is somebody, Robert De Niro, who I was a huge fan of his work. I've seen Goodfellas with my family, my brother, my cousins, I'll say 150 times. I'm not even joking, but it just plays in the background. For someone, and God rest his soul, his grandson just died this year due to fentanyl overdose, okay? Why aren't you furious at this current administration? You should be ashamed of yourself, because that fentanyl that came in and killed your grandson either came from China or it came from Mexico, okay? And guess what? Because of the wide open border, and whose fault is that again, Tom?
Or Mexico is the distributor for China.
Yes. So when Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David took aim, it felt like the universe balancing itself out. Rogan, the king of long-form logic, and Patrick, the straight-talking entrepreneur with no patience for nonsense, both grilled De Niro like a Thanksgiving turkey left out in the sun. And spoiler alert, De Niro had no comeback, because he never really does when facts start flying. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room. De Niro's recent career choices look like the outcome of a drunken game of spin de genre. From the brooding brilliance of Raging Bull to the cringe comedy of Dirty Grand P.S., that movie, it's clear the man has no shame left. Watching him go from Oscar-worthy to Netflix filler is like seeing a legend glitch in the algorithm. 1 minute you're expecting genius. The next, you're just watching a paycheck in motion. And yep, it shows.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and that he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks
That's
that.
what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every fucking thing that happens in the world.
I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And he's
And don't even get me started on De Niro's political posturing. His loud, over-the-top anti-Trump rants don't come off as passionate activism, they reek of desperation. It's less about standing for something and more about screaming into the void, hoping someone still cares. You know the type, yelling at clouds with a megaphone while the world quietly walks by. Except in this case, the megaphone is Twitter. And De Niro's shouting at millions of voters who've long stopped listening. Patrick Bet-David pointed this out with surgical precision, tearing into De Niro's hypocrisy like a Wall Street shark scenting blood. The same guy who played mafia bosses with cold precision now parades around pretending to be a moral compass. That's rich. Spoiler, reading pre-written speeches doesn't make you a leader, it just means you've got a loud voice and a lot of nerve. Bet-David reminded everyone that fame doesn't make you immune to scrutiny. If anything, it puts you in the spotlight when your ignorance starts showing. Then there's Joe Rogan. Delivering the reality check De Niro desperately needs, but clearly never asked for. Known for cutting through nonsense with brutal honesty, Rogan didn't hold back. He called out De Niro's hollow attempts to stay relevant, comparing him to a dog gnawing on a chew toy. The guy who once stared down Al Pacino in Heat can now barely scare a YouTube commenter. It's a sad fall for a man who once commanded genuine respect.
He's being dead serious. And Pat, look, by the way, this is full Trump derangement syndrome, an attack, and he claims Donald Trump becomes president, all this is going to happen, right? He's clearly having an episode. So Trump is the threat to America. Meanwhile, in New York City right now, where he is from, De Niro's from Brooklyn, the governor last week deployed 750 National Guard soldiers with long rifles, M16s, in the subways due to skyrocketing crime and violence, which is caused a lot by the illegals set in. Who let these illegals in, Tom? Is it Trump?
In the last couple of years,
Joe Biden
has been working hard to set new records.
Thank you. And yet Trump is the threat. And give me a break, okay? And you said this, Pat. Is that I thought this was an act. Like, he's an actor, but what all this does, this negative rhetoric, it's further dividing an
Here's the real kicker. De Niro's public persona isn't about acting anymore, it's pure outrage theater. Every rant, every tweet, every interview feels like a one-man show written by a bitter intern with a chip on their shoulder. He's throwing wild punches in a fight he's already lost. And the only people still watching are doing so out of morbid curiosity. Remember when he compared Trump supporters to criminals? That's comedy gold coming from a guy whose most iconic role glorified organized crime. The irony isn't just thick, it's practically a second career. De Niro acts like he's Hollywood's moral compass, but the man built his legacy playing thugs, killers, and shady hustlers. Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David didn't just roast him, they unmasked him. What's left is a man who's not acting anymore. He's lashing out, hoping someone still sees the legend behind the noise. Unfortunately, the only audience left is either laughing or wincing. De Niro's name might be etched in Hollywood history, but today he's more of a political punching bag than a performer. That's the real tragedy. He went from icon to internet punchline, and he doesn't even realize the show's already over.
I'm terrified to meet some of those people I looked up to now.
You should be.
I mean, like,
I've met a few of them, and it's actors in particular, because their whole business is pretend. Their whole business is pretend. You know, one of the things about guys like Theo or comedians, you run into comedians, their business is the opposite of pretend. Their business is just being a real person talking shit. Yeah, the professional shit.
Rogan and Bet-David didn't just scratch the surface, they dug into the decaying legacy of a man who once seemed untouchable. De Niro's recent years have been a slow-motion collapse. Flopped films, awkward appearances, and angry outbursts that make you wonder if he's angling for a role in a parody of himself. Seriously, if self-parody were an Oscar category, he'd be a 3-time winner by now. Let's talk about the art. From brilliant character studies to random cameos in forgettable comedies, De Niro's career looks like it's being steered by a malfunctioning Netflix algorithm. One day he's in a crime drama, the next he's making a cameo in a sitcom no one watches. It's like watching a Michelin-starred chef start hawking gas station burritos. And the political rants. They don't sound like righteous fury anymore. They sound like the late-night ramblings of a man who thinks yelling louder makes him relevant. The guy who gave us layered, morally complex characters now shouts at the TV like a conspiracy theorist with a fan base. His anti-Trump tirades aren't brave, they're basic, as original as a superhero movie reboot, and twice as tired.
Panics. If Trump wins, he'll come looking for me. Do you have the video, Rob? Because it's like, if you can just play the video of De Niro. I mean,
dude,
you know, go ahead, Rob. Just watch this, folks. Enjoy it.
The guy is a total monster. And anybody, I don't understand it. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to fuck with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. He's such a mean, nasty, hateful person. I never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him. Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him.
Oh God.
And we have to, and whoever the people are who want to vote for him, and there look like intelligent people around there. Somebody, for some reason, it can't.
Patrick Bet-David didn't hold back on this point. He made it clear, De Niro isn't using his platform to inspire. He's using it to complain. Loudly. There's a fine line between being a cultural voice and just being that guy yelling from the back row. And De Niro, he's deep in the second camp, finger-wagging at a world that's already moved on. Joe Rogan ripped into De Niro's attempts to play the wise elder statesman of Hollywood. Newsflash, you don't earn cultural relevance by repeating soundbites on late-night TV. It takes nuance, intelligence, and timing, three things De Niro seems to have traded in for Twitter tirades and media meltdowns. Watching him now is like watching a statue try to dance. Stiff, awkward, and just a little heartbreaking. And here's the cruel irony. De Niro built a career playing morally gray criminals, drug dealers, and mob bosses. Now he lectures the world on ethics and decency. It's like the guy who built a casino empire, now shaming people for gambling. Sure, he's earned the right to speak. But when your resume is a gallery of violent anti-heroes, your moral high ground starts looking more like a movie set, fake, flimsy, and ready to collapse.
Trump was feared, and he was respected, and he walked around, love him or hate him. We didn't have wars. So going back to what you're asking about Iran, what he would do, here's what he would be doing. There's no 6-hour stand down or 3-hour stand down. Here's what we're doing. He's doing a, what do you call it, a press conference going out. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to. Remember that one time when he says, Abu Bakar, what was his name?
Baghdadi.
And the films he's been choosing lately. Yikes. There's a name for what happens when once great actors start taking roles so bad, so baffling, fans wonder if it's all just some long-running prank. Dirty Grandpa, The Intern. These aren't just misfires, they're full-on cinematic train wrecks. Watching De Niro in these roles feels like watching a legend willingly throw his legacy into a dumpster, equal parts defiance and delusion. Patrick Bet-David nailed it. De Niro's Hollywood brand has gone from iconic to cautionary tale. This is what happens when you coast on past glory for too long and refuse to adapt. In today's world, talent alone isn't enough. You need self-awareness, evolution, and a little humility doesn't hurt either. De Niro has shown none of that. Instead, he's doubled down on the bluster, turning what could have been a graceful twilight into a chaotic sideshow. Joe Rogan called out exactly that. De Niro's presence in the modern public sphere is like a bull in a china shop, loud, clumsy, and completely out of sync. Instead of evolving with the times or engaging in thoughtful conversation, De Niro digs in his heels and shouts louder, which only highlights just how disconnected he's become. The man who once held entire rooms in stunned silence now struggles to hold attention for the length of a podcast clip.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you
Excuse my French.
Rogan and Bette David also exposed how De Niro's own behavior has chipped away at his star power. There was a time when his name on a movie poster meant something: prestige, intensity, must-watch performances. Now it might as well come with a warning label, may include angry rants and opinions stuck in 1995. It's a harsh fall from grace, but it's one he built himself. Brick by brick, with every angry outburst and tone-deaf interview. And let's not forget the fans, the ones still holding out hope for another Casino or the Deer Hunter performance. Instead, they're left watching De Niro stumble through roles that feel like fast food quiz, uninspired, and ultimately disappointing. It fills the time, but leaves a bad taste in the end. The Rogan Bette David roasting wasn't just a takedown, it was a wake-up call, a blunt reminder that talent and fame don't give you a lifetime pass. De Niro's transformation from revered actor to Hollywood's cautionary tale is the story of what happens when ego goes unchecked, when legacy gets sold off for relevance, and when a once great voice becomes just another echo in the noise.